We'll look at the factors contributing to the increase. I mean, this has been with us all this while because we all attended high school, and at a point in time, friends, colleagues, mates were on some drugs. But the numbers that are coming up this time around is quite worrying. And Ophelia, you are at the clinic, you are at the hospital. What do you usually see?
So normally, people come in when they have actually lost control. So when we talk about addiction, is when an individual loses control to manage the addiction. And so a lot of times the users do not even know they are losing control, because it is a war in the mind. It's not a physical war or a conflict. And so before they realize it, that their brain is highly dependent on an unnatural stimulation, then it's far beyond their management. And a lot of times too, parents or caregivers do not know the early signs. And so with mental health disorders, early intervention is key. If we know of it early, then we can manage it, because recovery is 100% possible. So normally when they come in and maybe we start therapy with them or counseling, over time they relapse. They relapse because a lot of them cannot intrinsically motivate themselves for natural stimulation. When I say natural stimulation, I mean social connection, because over time users loses human connection because they no longer depend on that connection for motivation or happiness or for healing or for a sense of purpose or even meaning, because the brain is highly dependent on the drugs. And so that's why they relapse, because they can't deal with the boredom, or they can't deal with their own, in quote, monsters. Because at a point in life we all have developmental challenges, whether you are a child, you're an adolescent, a young adult, or an old person. They relapse. You would go through life or identity crisis at a point in time. And so when there is that gap in your life and you don't have the positive coping mechanisms, or the knowledge and skills or self-management skills to cope with that, then they would relapse into the drugs or any form of addiction.
Let me bring in Ophelia. The concerns about the relapse is a major one, of course, because it becomes quite dire or more severe when people come back in that state. Is there no way to trace these people on a regular basis to ensure that they don't go back, like Kamaldeen is mentioning? The supplier knows that you are on it. No matter what, you come back for it. How do we handle that situation?
Okay, so normally this is where we involve the family support or community support. Like Dr. Yaro said, it takes a community to bring up a child, to model positive behaviors, and then teach them the meaning and purpose in life. Now, when an adult finds him or herself in this kind of situation, normally what the public do is to shame than to support them. Already they may be going through family conflicts with maybe their wives or their partners, and even the whole family at large, because a lot of people would really like to punish them. An example is to shame them in public, because it becomes something very negative. Instead of us to see it from a place of love, we would rather just judge them. But we need to understand that addiction is not a moral punishment. Okay, an example is Pastor Duncan Williams' son. Like, people relate to his predicament like some punishment from the Most High, or instead of us to actually all support him, like anytime he comes on social media and he's posting stuff, we can all be positive about it. We can all share love and a word of inspiration and encouragement. So with Relapse is a multidisciplinary approach, from family, friends, place of work, and then the community at large. So because it's a battle in the mind, it's not something that we can physically see. There are really no physical signs, except it's in the severity stage where you can have those physical signs to say that this person has really gone far or deep into our addiction. And so I would call on all of us to support people when they're in the rehabilitation centers, and then when they're out of the rehabilitation centers, we should make it a point to always check on them. For the hospitals, I think once in a while we do the follow-ups and the checkups, and even sometimes we call and we do the contact tracing to see how they're doing. But a lot of times we are overwhelmed with a lot of cases, and so maybe doing the follow-up and the contact tracing may not always come forth, right, because there are already lack of professionals in the mental health industry. So I would just call on to family, friends, community to also help us, because it's a lot of economic burden to the government. When people relapse, it means that the cost and the resources used in investing in this particular person has actually been lost. And so that is something I can say about the relapse.